This is a homemade $1 fajita burrito. Actually, it's more like 90 cents, but I rounded up for the title. I wanted to make a meal prep item that was cheap, delicious, freezable, microwavable, and somewhat healthy. Fortunately, I seem to have succeeded on all counts. This burrito has rice, beans, fajita peppers and onions, chicken, and comes out to around 427 calories with 26 grams of protein per burrito. I broke down all the prices per ingredient along with the nutrition facts. Compared to something like a burrito from Qdoba or Chipotle, these burritos are way more cost effective. Even if you were to eat 3 or 4 of these burritos in one sitting, it would still be a quarter or a third of the price of one of the alternatives. I'm going to walk you through how to make these burritos and the amount of ingredients to use. I hope you can use this video like an inspiration or maybe a guide to make some sort of meal prep burrito with ingredients that you like. To start, I made some sauteed fajita veggies using some onions and bell peppers. I cut the onions into strips and did the same for the peppers. Also, in case you haven't already seen this, here's a nice trick to how to cut bell peppers into strips real easy. Take a pepper and cut off the top and bottom, just so it shows the opening inside. Then make a straight cut down one of the walls of the pepper. Slide the knife inside using the new opening and then carve out the white pith inside by shaving along the inside wall of the pepper. Cut all the way around and roll the pepper to cut out all of the insides. When you get all the way around, you'll have a full long pepper piece that can be laid down flat for cutting. I cut my peppers like this all the time. With your fajita veggies ready, get a pan real hot with a very thin layer of a neutral oil. I like using my cast iron for this. Add all of the cut peppers and onions directly into the hot pan and saute until they are cooked to your liking. Some people like these on the raw side with some crunch. Some people like them cooked until soft. One of the great things about cooking yourself is you can make it exactly how you want. You do you. Cook these to however you like and set them aside for later. The other thing I prepped for these burritos was a cilantro lime rice. It's super easy and it really steps up the flavor compared to plain old white rice. I use my rice cooker for this job. It makes the job even easier and cooks the rice perfectly. Take 2 cups of uncooked white rice, give this a wash and clean before cooking. Sorry about the mess, I had just made some homemade ice cream before doing this. Once the rice is clean, add to the rice cooker pot and fill the water line up to the 2-cup line. Add 3 bay leaves directly to the pot and turn on the cooker to the white rice setting. Let the rice cooker do its thing to finish cooking the rice. Cut up around half a cup of fresh cilantro. Once the rice is finished cooking, remove the bay leaves and add the rice to a separate bowl and then add in the cilantro. Finally, add in the juice of half a lime and give this a mix. You could add in more lime if you want it extra limey. Lemon would work for this too, but then I guess it would be cilantro lemon rice. Either way, this rice is simple but tasty. The last prep item for this is the grilled chicken. I made a simple marinade for this with about a 1/4 cup of olive oil, the juice of half a lime, about 1 teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and also a teaspoon of taco seasoning. After a quick mix, set this aside. Now for the chicken breasts, I typically find that most all the chicken breasts sold at the store are just extremely massive. I think that they're really hard to cook with when they're too large and too thick. So almost always, I take some time to cut them in half before grilling. You end up getting twice as many chicken breasts to work with that are a respectable size to eat, and also they are way easier to cook evenly. Also, I typically trim off any excess fat or cartilage. If you're going to cut them in half like this, please be careful and make sure your knife is sharp enough. If the knife is dull, you might need to force it and the knife could slip. Working with dull knives can be dangerous. A sharp knife equals control, and control is what you want when handling big knives. Once all of the chicken breasts are ready, I dump them into a Ziploc bag along with the marinade. Massage it, mix it, toss it around a bit. The goal is to get oil on all parts of the chicken. Let this rest in the fridge for 15 to 30 minutes if you want the flavor to set in for a bit, or just use it right away. After a rest, the chicken heads to the grill. I heated my grill to around 375 degrees Fahrenheit and added all of the chicken. This grills for around 6 to 8 minutes per side, but watch this often and check it by measuring the temperature. Once that chicken hits 165 degrees Fahrenheit, it should come off right away. If it goes much above that 165 degrees, chicken breasts are a bit of an unforgiving meat. It'll turn from juicy and tender at 160 to dry and not so great at 170. So please watch it and take it off as soon as it hits 165 or even 160. That internal temp will continue to rise a few degrees even after taking it off the grill. Once that chicken is done, take it off the grill and cut into strips and prep for the burritos. Now all of the prep work is complete. Gather the fajita veggies, cilantro lime rice, and grilled chicken. Along with these, some canned black beans and shredded cheese. Get a nice large burrito-sized tortilla. I like this La Banderita brand. I usually get the big pack from Sam's Club. And now for probably the trickiest part of this, at least for me. Forming the burrito. I am notorious for overfilling burritos. All the fillings always look so good, and I always add too much to allow for any sort of decent folding. To help counter this, I did get a scale out to measure these ingredients for what a good amount would be to properly fill the burrito. For these burritos, I use 30 grams of rice, 2 ounces of chicken breast, 40 grams of fajita veggies, 20 grams of black beans, and 20 grams of shredded cheese. To fold the burrito, I take the two sides of the tortilla to the center and fold the back end up and over. Then I really stuff the ingredients inside and press down that back end into the center of the burrito to hold everything in. Take the excess corners and the sides left and fold toward the front. Then roll the package down onto the excess tortilla. Now I'm sure there's a better way to do this, and perhaps someday I'll learn it, but this way at least seems to get me by. Normally I try asking my wife to help roll up the burritos because she's way better at it than I am. With the rolled up burrito, add it onto a piece of wax paper. Roll the wax paper over top of the burrito nice and tight, and take the excess ends of the paper to fold underneath the burrito. Wax paper is great for storing these because they can freeze, and they can also be tossed right into the microwave directly from the freezer. Now let's cut a cross section of this burrito and take a look. Not too shabby. Now I would also mention that if you want to add things like avocado, sour cream, salsa, some sort of other sauce, that these are great, but not for the freezer. The freezer will give these things a bit of a weird texture, especially if they are tossed directly from the freezer into the microwave. If they could go in the freezer, I would have definitely added them to these burritos, but you can always add those things after the fact, when they are heated up, so it works out alright. With all these prepped ingredients already handy, make as many more burritos as you can until you run out of an ingredient. With what I had prepped on the day I had made these, I made around 14 burritos and just tossed them all into the freezer to store. My wife and I ate these throughout the whole week after this, and they made for a perfect lunch. Take the burrito straight from the freezer and microwave in wax paper for about 90 seconds. Since it was frozen and is in the paper, it kind of almost steams as it heats back up and makes the tortilla nice and soft again. These were probably the best meal prep item I have ever made. It was so easy to toss one of these into my backpack on the way to work and then toss it into a microwave for lunch. Eating just one burrito was plenty for me at lunch. It had just enough protein to keep me going. Not too bad for under $1 burrito. Well, now you know how to make some meal prep burritos. I hope you can try something like this yourself and have some fun customizing, meal prepping, and maybe saving some money. If you enjoyed this video or learned something, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. As always, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.